Excited to welcome in back to the show the Director of Strength and Conditioning over at LSU, Coach Tommy Moffitt. Coach, what's up?
How we doing, Jacob? Thanks for having me on.
Doing well. Glad to have you on, and I know that you're glad to get your players back in a couple days, get them back in the weight room, get them back in that routine.
Yep. We had our team meeting this morning, and it was phenomenal to see everyone. And there were a lot of guys that are really happy about being back.
Coach, and I can tell you this, driving on River Road every day and driving by the levee, I'm not just telling you this because you're on. I saw a ton of guys that were there getting work in. I'm talking early in the morning when I would be driving in to do the morning show. Jacoby Stevens, I think, was there almost every single day. They were taking care of business outside when they weren't allowed to get inside that weight room as well.
Yep. So we added it up as a staff. We received 3,800 text messages from the guys while we were off the 11 weeks that we were away. We added them all up, and there were over 3,800 text messages that we got from the players with pictures and videos of them, running and working out and eating well. So I'm really excited about the amount of work that these guys have put in on their own, without us standing over them and making them do it. So I'm really excited about this time and getting back together.
And I think it was important for them to be able to do that. And, to tell our listeners, yes, you come back June 8th, that is enough time to get ready for football, but you don't want to have to hit reset. So them doing that on their own was very important.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I touched on today. We talked about for some of our guys like Jacoby Stevens, he's been working now going on 4 years of, doing everything he could possibly do to be the best football player he could possibly be, and then it was just shut down. And so you take all of that work that was built up, and his fitness level was off the charts. And it's important that he was able to go out and do what little he could do to maintain that so that when he comes back, it won't hurt as bad. And the analogy, and I'm sure you've heard me say this, getting in shape, staying in shape, it's like the first time that you blew up a balloon. Yep. When you blow a balloon up, your ears pop, and it's real hard. You got to stretch it out. But then every time you blow that balloon up after that, it's easier to blow up. And that's kind of the way being in great shape is. And so because of the work that they did, it won't be as hard this time to get in shape as it was the last time.
Tommy Moffitt hanging with Hester here on a Tuesday. This isn't exactly hard-hitting journalism here, Coach Moffitt, but I haven't been a part of a football program, football team, but I've watched from afar for a long time. And at one point, the Saints kind of cut bait with a lot of guys because they didn't like the culture in their locker room. Looking at the LSU football program right now, not just the team last year, but the program, it just seems like it's incredibly healthy.
Hello, how are you?
What am I listening to?
Hello?
That was a first.
What just happened?
I'm not sure exactly who that was.
I'm a little shook right now.
You were talking to Tommy Moffitt, then all of a sudden, there came a voice over the radio.
I'm shook. Like, that was weird.
That was weird. Are we getting hacked? Is this Gordy not paying the bills again?
It's just 2020. You got hurricanes coming. We got there's just a lot of issues.
You were. I don't really.
Rolling.
We're gonna get Coach Moffitt back on the phone. I kind of heard him at the very end say he couldn't hear, and then we heard a different voice. Oh man, I hope that doesn't happen to poor Musso here in a little bit when he's hosting.
Let's get all the kinks out here.
Yeah, Coach Moffitt, do we have you back?
Is he there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right,
hey, there we go.
All right, Coach. I was going on a long-winded question, but essentially the genesis of what I was getting at is that it just seems like the culture in LSU's football program right now is so positive and so strong and so good. And I think that what you were alluding to with all the text messages and all the work being done while they were away, with outside of the confines, kind of speaks to that.
Yeah, Coach O touched on the culture aspect today. And a lot of that has to do with the leadership that we had on our team and the character of the players that we have on our team. and the way the coaching staff has worked their tails off to help develop it. And it wasn't just one person or one opportunity for that to happen. It happened over time, and everyone in the program, from the athletic director all the way down to the youngest strength coach, has had input and has put effort into that. And it is as strong as it's ever been. And that's what wins championships. And, we had, and here's the crazy thing. Going into spring ball, we had so much momentum. I think to the casual observer, that is something that would be lost when you have an 11-week hiatus like we've had. But when I saw those guys today, it was as if we never missed a day. In fact, some of the guys that I saw today looked better than the last time I saw them. So they haven't only maintained their strength and their speed and their fitness, they've improved upon it. And that's it's all culturally based, and it's something that a lot of people put a lot of effort into.
Coach, obviously they're starting to bring some guys in now. How is June 3rd tomorrow of 2020 different than June 3rd of last year in terms of what you can do and the hours and who can be there?
Great question. So it's a lot different, okay? A lot different. And we're still finding out more and more and more. Matthew Jacobek, he is our compliance person. And, Matthew said it best, it changes by the minute. And so whatever they told us yesterday is going to be a little different than today because we're all figuring this out on the run. So right now, it's strictly voluntary, and I think that's been well publicized, whereas this time last year, it's mandatory. It's compulsory. So it is strictly voluntary. Now, the hours that a young man can volunteer are limitless, whereas last year and the years before that, it's an 8-hour rule. So you have only 8 hours where you can do work, whereas this year, although it's unlimited, they can work out for 20 hours a week. It does not matter. Now, we have some self-imposed rules to make sure that it's a gradual progression. So we're going to start the first 2 weeks. We're going to train 3 days a week. We're going to warm up, lift, and then run. And we have an hour and 20-some-odd minutes to get all that done. And, we're going to progress in small increments early on and then progress in big increments. But now the coaches, the football staff last year had 2 hours of our 8 hours. And when people ask, how did Joe Burrow do what he did? How did the O-line do what they did? It was because 2 days a week for 2 hours a day, for an hour a day, twice a week, our football coaches were working with the team, whereas we can't do that right now. So they can't do anything on our campus with a ball. They can't hit dummies. They can't hit sleds. So the rules this year are much more restrictive, and I think what they're trying to do is eliminate cross-contamination, of me throwing a ball and somebody else catching it and, the ball getting contaminated. So all of this, I think, is they're giving us a window of opportunity to go out and see what we can do, maintain proper distancing and safety precautions, and let's see how it goes. And then there's talk of, in 3 weeks, them allowing us to do more, but we don't know that yet. And that's something, that we'll find out at a later date. So we'll find out as we go.
Catching up with the Director of Strength and Conditioning, Tommy Moffitt, here on Hangin with Hester. Coach, will the weight room be set up different? Will you have full access, or will it be set up a little bit different? Because you mentioned social distancing.
Yeah, great question. So we're limiting the number of players that can come into the weight room at one time. So we have 25 racks. My goal is to have 25 guys, one person per each rack. Now, by law, I heard somebody told me we could have 67 in there. But if to do that, you would have guys, basically standing on top of each other, and we don't want to do that. So we could easily handle up to 25 student athletes. That puts one at a rack. Our racks are on 10-foot centers. So ideally, no one would be, closer to one another than by 10 feet. We're not going to use the dumbbells. I just don't have that. I have a lot of dumbbells, but not enough dumbbells where we could, properly space them out. So we're going to do more barbell and body weight exercises until we get the green light. We won't use the glute hams. We won't use the neck machines. And then any contact between a coach and an athlete, we have to wear gloves. Now, the staff will have masks on at all times. The players will not. But if there's any contact, like if I'm stretching someone or we're doing manual neck or some form of manual resistance, the coach has to have gloves on. And then after each group, and I haven't seen the device yet. Some of my guys on the staff have worked with it. But we have a machine. It looks like a paint gun that you would see in a spray booth. And there is a product that we're going to use to sanitize the weight room after each group. And then at night, when we're finished, there's going to be a crew that comes in with a big machine that mists the entire room. And so, we're going to practice proper physical distancing as much as we possibly can, and be very diligent about that, and then do a great job of sanitizing the weight room after each group, and then again at night once everybody's gone.
All right, Coach.
We added it up. We're going to spend about 2.5 hours a day cleaning the weight room.
Oh, wow. Is Vic going to do that? You going to put Vic on that as well?
Yeah, we're all going to be doing it, including myself. So, yeah, all hands on deck.
Hey, I want to ask you the bitter former player question before we get you out of here. Are those freshmen going to be welcome in with the conditioning test?
No, for the first time, and for the first time in 20-some-odd years. Yeah, that was one of the things that was one of the rules that came down from the top. There wouldn't be that they didn't say that there won't be one at some point, but they're not going to allow us to do our conditioning test the first day of camp or first day of workout. So, so for the first time in 20 years, we will not do that. But that doesn't rule out us doing it at some point, this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to hear, because that's one of my favorite days of the year, Coach.
Yeah, and and it didn't matter if it was you or Kyle Williams, or it doesn't matter. It didn't matter who it was. They would all say that was when they knew we were going to be special. And this year we had it was basically one guy really who couldn't pass it, and that's the way it generally is. The first time we take it, we've averaged 88% the first time we take it, and that's my goal. We used to take it and when I was at Tennessee, when I was at Miami, and even when I first got here, we took it right before training camp. So guys would report to summer training not in the best shape.
Right.
So, we spend all summer long trying to get in shape versus trying to get faster and better. And so then we switched it to June, the first Tuesday in the month of June, and it changed everything when I did that. I mean, it changed the whole scope of our training. And once guys would show up, 88% of the team passed, and then we would take it every Friday. If you don't pass it, you had to take it every Friday until you passed it. And so that first week, we'd knock out 88%. And then the next week, it was generally those guys that could pass it. They just didn't think they could pass it. And then we'd only end with a small few that had to, that would go down to the wire. But, that's just, the new normal right now is no conditioning test. But we're still going to run, and we're going to. So every workout will consist of a warm-up, a workout, and a run. And we're going to do that from now until training camp. And Coach O, again, he did a phenomenal job today talking to the team. And a lot of people think summer training gets you in shape for the season, but it doesn't. It gets you in shape for training camp.
Right.
Because ideally, or no, not ideally, physiologically, the only way you can get prepared to play the game of football is to play the game of football. So my goal is to get them in shape for summer camp, and then summer camp develops the type of conditioning that you need to play in the game. And that's why you have scrimmages. And, you know, that's why you wear their equipment a certain number of days. And so, you know, I really feel confident that we're going to be able to get it done. We've got about 7 weeks to get them in shape, and it's going to. And I told the team it's not going to be easy. If it were easy, we'd have thousands of people sitting in here, but it's not. And we're going to be there for them. We're going to pick them up and, you know, and pat them on the back. And, you know, we're going to get after it. That's the only way. I mean, there's no easy way about it. And we're just going to push and just see what happens.
You better be in shape when you get to Coach Moffitt's workout program, Coach. I don't know if you remember this. I mean, it was 15 years ago, right before my senior year. I'm about to come back to Baton Rouge, kind of having like a farewell little dinner with the family, a bunch of people. We're at Mr. Gaddy's, a pizza buffet. You called my cell phone. I was up at the buffet getting pizza. My mom answered it. When I walked back to the table, she's like, "Hey, Coach Moffitt's on the phone." And I'm sitting there thinking, please tell me you didn't tell him we were at Mr. Gaddy's.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the way it goes, man, you know, and again, I'm going to say if we took the test today, I bet you 80% of our team passes.
Yeah.
I really do. I really feel confident that our guys are going to be in great shape and they're going to bust their tails, you know, because of the culture. Like Hunt said, the culture on our team is of a bunch of guys that want to do it. It's not a bunch of guys that have to do it. It's a bunch of guys that want to. And that's something that comes from within. And I really feel good about this group of guys. And for 11 weeks, I've been sitting around just dying for this moment. And it's here. So it's been crazy.
Oh, I can't imagine, Coach, man. I appreciate you hopping on with us. I'm glad that you get to do what you're the best in the country at, which is train these athletes. And best of luck in everything. And I know everything's going to work out right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on.